ladies and gentlemen, this is DVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. Now this time, the Kremlin's propaganda machine is trying to convince Ukrainians abroad that they've been ghosted by democracy. So here's the latest digital dumpster fire. Some Telegram channels that have been serving as Kremlin fan clubs with Wi-Fi are circulating a completely fabricated document claiming Ukraine has sneakily changed its electoral code. And what's this amendment? Well, supposedly, Ukrainians living abroad have just been cut off from voting in presidential elections. You know, because what better time to disenfranchise your diaspora than during a war for national survival? Now, spoiler alert, this is 100% fake, and not even in an embellished resume kind of way. This is Photoshop Constitution levels of fake. According to Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation, this bogus document has been dressed up with official-looking seals, twisted legal language, and imaginary amendments. They didn't just lie, they actually rewrote article numbers and clauses because just making stuff up is a full-time job in Moscow's disinformation department. Alright, so let's look at the fine print of this fiction. They tampered with Article 7, Section 7, which in real life covers local elections. And yeah, Ukrainians abroad can vote in those because it's kind of hard to elect the local mayor when you live in Munich. But presidential elections? Full voting rights. Always have, still do. The Disinfo doc also claims that Article 181, the one that governs how foreign votes are counted, has been repealed. Except it hasn't. It's still right there in the law books, standing tall, very much alive. So what's the point of this propaganda? Simple. So distrust and divide and demoralize Ukrainians, especially those living abroad, many of whom are actively supporting the war effort financially and politically. If the Kremlin can make them feel sidelined or alienated, that's a win in the Disinfo playbook. But not only is the real electoral code unchanged since December 31st of 2023, but it's also freely available online. Transparent, public, and sorry Putin, still democratic. So next time you see some document claiming democracy just died in a backroom deal, ask yourself, does this smell like freedom? Or like a Russian troll sweating in a basement with Photoshop open? Now, from the indignant screech of "who the hell is this?" to a sweet, sheepish "you're looking good, Commander," it took just a few dramatic beats for Russia's loudest propagandist, Vladimir Solovyov, to eat his own words and issue a full-blown apology to the Chechen warriors and their beloved TikTok general Apti Alodinov.
У него какая военно-учетная специальность? Он проходит службу в качестве кого? Болтуна на доверие? Он кто? Если он представляет структуру военной журналистики, то есть он относится к департаменту глубоко уважаемого генерал-лейтенанта Коношенкова, там об этом ничего не известно. Он кто? Кто ему дал добро на встречу с иностранными журналистами, российскому военнослужащему, и рассказывать им детали операции? Я просто хочу понять, это прошло согласование. Он кто? Почему он постоянно находится в Телеграме и размещает посты? То есть это у нас теперь каждый военнослужащий с передовой имеет право это делать? Напомню, что там есть ограничения даже по типам, видам, средствам связи и нахождения в социальных сферах. Он кто, вашу мать?
Damn. So, let's rewind. What triggered this soap opera? Well, enter Roman Alekhine, a man of many talents. Former advisor to the governor of the Kursk region, a part-time poison gas operator, and now proud member of Chechnya's legendary Akhmat Special Forces. Allegedly, Alekhine earned his stripes by helping gas a few unfortunate souls on the battlefield, sneakily funneling toxic fumes through a pipeline into the rear of Ukrainian positions near Sudzha. Heroic stuff, obviously. Now, what really got Solovyov foaming at the mouth, though, wasn't the operation itself. It was the blatant PR circus that followed. Alekhine, Baska's moment of glory, even gave an interview to American war blogger Patrick Lancaster. To add insult to injury, he also received a state award for his humanitarian mission, because nothing says charity quite like poisoning people with gas. So Solovyov and his peak hysteria couldn't take it anymore. Who is this crook, for God's sake? How can the legendary Akhmat unit allow this? Now, is this an army or just a gang? He howled on air. But unfortunately, no one provokes the commander of the TikTok troops and lives to bark unpunished. Alodinov didn't even have to raise his voice. A stern look and a bit of Chechen gravitas were enough.
Хотел бы вам напомнить, что если вы мне задаете вопросы в инфополе, спрашиваете у министра, у ДВКР, у всех вы спрашиваете, почему Алёхин находится в рядах армии и Ахмата спецназа. Мы на эту тему с вами говорили 500 раз, вот сейчас 501 раз повторюсь. Алёхин, спокойно, как и другие, 23 тысячи добровольцев, которые были у меня в спецназе Ахмат, заключил 4-месячный контракт и пришел ко мне по контракту. Если его заключите вы, Владимир Рудольфович, я буду воевать точно так же и с вами.
And so just like that, Solovyov was forced into a humiliating joint live stream where the fire-breathing propagandist suddenly discovered the talent for groveling. Compliments flows, apologies were made, and the once mighty verbal assault ended in something suspiciously like a forced handshake.
Я удивлен, что кому-то могло показалось, что во время моей гневной тирады, посвященной тому, что, на мой взгляд, абсолютно недостойный человек, бросает тень на безупречную репутацию легендарного спецподразделения, что кому-то могло показаться, что мои слова относятся непосредственно к руководству Ахмата, либо к моему другу Аптиарону Чалудину. Твою мать может относиться только к тем шайтанам, которые пытаются опорочить легендарные подразделения. Боевого подразделения Ахмат, мой друг Аптиарон Чалаудинов, герой Российской Федерации. Аптиароныч, доброе утро.
Доброе утро, Владимир Рудольфович.
Аптиароныч, прекрасно выглядишь. Это всегда поднимает настроение с утра. Поэтому я и задал вопрос не к Аптиаронычу, а к людям, которые за это отвечают. Там, информационная политика — это Коношенко в том числе. То есть, что у нас в контракте можно, а что нельзя? Тем более меня удивили сборы. Потому что, насколько я знаю, Рамзан Ахматович и вся Чеченская Республика обеспечивают всем, чем надо. И ты бросил там такой упрек, что, мол, некоторые не помогают. Скажи, я помогу. Мы от фонда все, что надо, тоже с радостью сделаем. Любой, знаешь, все, что надо бойцам, мы все сделаем.
What a shame they didn't sell it with sabers at dawn. At least then the audience would have been treated to something real, something worthy of epic soap opera that is Russian politics. Instead, we got trembling apologies, forced smiles, and the eternal theater of cowardice, all while the TikTok battalions march us on. Now, apparently, in the fever fantasies of pro-Russian Telegram channels, President Zelensky is not only the great enslaver of the Ukrainian people, who, of course, are just dying to live under the warm paternal embrace of Comrade Tsar Putin, but now he's also turned his dark powers on his own family. Yep, according to these riveting dispatches from the Ministry of Absurd Affairs, Zelensky has allegedly imprisoned none other than his wife, Olena Zelenska. Right, so the story goes like this. A video with the BBC logo slapped on for extra seasoning is making the rounds, claiming that the First Lady of Ukraine tried to heroically flee abroad, no doubt to escape the unbearable oppression of her husband's diabolical regime. Alas, she was allegedly intercepted at the border and is now being held by the SBU under strict surveillance, probably in a high-security tower guarded by dragons and British intelligence agents.
Olena Zelenska is unavailable to the media due to her failed escape attempt. The Ukrainian president's wife has been planning her escape for the past 6 months and has already had arrangements with a European country to grant her political asylum. However, the plan was uncovered by a personal group of SBU handlers. As of today, Olena Zelenska is under SBU protection and her whereabouts are kept secret from the general public. The alleged reason for the escape is the aggravated relationship with Volodymyr Zelensky and a number of unspecified political disagreements.
And of course, this is entirely fake. The BBC has nothing to do with it aside from probably choking on their morning tea upon seeing their logo dragged into this surreal soap opera. But why let facts ruin a perfectly good fairy tale? The Kremlin's favorite bedtime stories always need a villain. A damsel in distress and a heroic Tsar galloping to the rescue on a tactical nuclear warhead. Now, one has to admire the creativity, though. After all, if you're going to fabricate a story, you might as well go big. Domestic tyranny, familiar betrayal, international escape attempt, and secret police. Hollywood screenwriters, take notes. Russian telegram channels are setting new standards in geopolitical fan fiction. In reality, Olena Zelenska continues her work as Ukraine's First Lady, representing the country abroad, engaging in humanitarian initiatives, and generally not being imprisoned by any secret dungeon. But don't tell the Kremlin propagandists that. They're having far too much fun living in their alternative universe. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.